Good morning. I am doing my early morning stretch yoga routine. And the reason that I do this is because one of the biggest issues with being a human in today's world is that we are leading with our brains and our heads instead of our bodies. Our bodies should be the ones telling us what to do. And the more we can get back into our bodies and sort of out of our heads, the more calm we're going to be, the more balanced our hormones are going to be, and the better the day is going to go. So I just kind of do this 20-minute routine every morning after my kids go off to school, or sometimes if I wake up early before they go to school. And I usually have my red light mask on, but it broke. And it's a fantastic company called Bon Charge, and they're really good about fixing things if something goes wrong. So I've been using their products for years. I tend to carry a lot of stress in my hips, so my routine focuses on opening up and relaxing my hips and my lower back. And I just don't make it a big deal about making sure you can tell I'm talking to you while I'm doing this. I don't know if I'm getting 10 on each side or 8 on each side. I'm just really not putting a lot of pressure or stress into the routine because I have enough pressure and stress all day. I don't need to have it while I'm, working on relaxing. So this one, when you keep your knees in place and you move your hips back and forth, just opens up this whole area. I love it so much. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about was sort of all of the things that we're asked to do to take care of ourselves as women, but particularly as women in midlife, much more so than men and much more so than young women. And one of those things is supplements. I mean, come on, the amount of extra stuff that we are told that we need in our daily life is kind of bananas. And I want to tell you that I come at this from two very different places. And one is don't spend a bunch of money on anything that you don't need, and by don't need, I mean that you can get from food, right? And then the other place that I come from is that I'm a scientist and I can totally fall into the biohacking wormhole when I have a problem, like when I was really having horrible perimenopause brain fog. You can bet I was figuring out every supplement on the planet that I could take to help my brain fog. When my thyroid wasn't doing its best, I took everything that could possibly help my thyroid. When my sleep was dysregulated, I took everything that I possibly could for sleep. And so I'm not opposed to biohacking, but the problem is that most of us just aren't going to put in the research required to figure it out what the best supplement is for us. And so what we end up doing is I'm just doing little circles if anybody cares about my routine. And then I'll go backwards and do circles the other way. This really opens up the hip. Most of us are just getting ads on Instagram that are you need colostrum, you need collagen, you need fiber, you need this. And so are we actually researching and finding out what we need and that it's useful for us, or are we just succumbing to marketing? So I would almost rather you take nothing than succumb to marketing. Because here's the thing, there are creatine supplements out there that are $1 per serving, fiber supplements that are $1 per serving, fish oil, $1 per serving. So you start taking all these things, collagen, etc., protein, you're spending $5 a day on supplements, minimum. I mean, some people are spending $500 a month. So they're spending $5 a day. Wait, is that right? Do my math. $7, $8. And then saying, well, eggs are so expensive, I can't eat eggs, or avocados are so expensive. I would rather you eat the eggs in the majority of cases. I would rather you eat the avocado. I would rather that you spend money on salmon instead of take fish oil. Because here's the thing about nutrition science. I was born in 1972, and nutrition science isn't much older than I am. We've isolated all these nutrients that we know we need, but we don't know 100% how they interact with each other. You know, we're all isolating protein and protein powders and egg whites and chicken, when in fact, proteins in nature really come with fat, and that's how they function the best in our body. And so we're not meant to get a lot of these micro and macronutrients in isolation. The fish oil in fish is meant to come in the fish. The choline in egg yolks is meant to come in the egg yolks. So one of the things that we can do as women who are overwhelmed with the nutrition industry and all of these Instagram ads, listen, I'm vulnerable to them too. I'm like, oh my God, I need that mascara. It's just human nature, right? That's all it is. It's just our nature to see something like that and want it and think we need it. There is nothing wrong with you or me. We're not weak. It's just the way it is. But you really have to go in with sort of like, I'm not going to buy anything impulsively. I'm going to do some research on this and see if it really works, or can I get it from food? And is there an easier way or more holistic way for me to do this? And so, you know, creatine is a great example, and this is something that I feel really strongly about. Creatine is all the rage right now. They tell women to take 3 grams, men to take 5. Our body needs 2 a day. 1 gram you make and the other gram you get from food. So why are they recommending so much? That's because when you take it in supplement form, the absorption is different, so you need more to cover your bases. So here's my thing. I have said again and again and again and again, this is like me just drilling this into everyone's minds. We are meant to be protein-based eaters. That is the natural human diet. When you consume a minimum of 1 pound of meat or fish a day, you're probably getting enough creatine. Most people are not eating enough meat and fish, and it seems like a lot, but when we become carbohydrate intolerant as we get older into midlife, as our hormones change, the primary nutrient that our body needs is protein. So you think, oh my gosh, 1 pound of meat is so much, but it's really not. It's really only, depending on how fatty the meat is, you're talking about like 90 to 100 grams of protein in 1 pound. 16 times 6, yeah. So if you were to eat 5 ounces, a little over 5 ounces at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which cooks down to like 3 ounces cooked, it's not that much. It's really not. I can easily eat 8 ounces of meat in a sitting because I'm not having piles of rice or pasta or any other processed carbohydrates. So I've never taken creatine because I always focus on making sure that I'm getting enough in my diet. I eat tons of salmon. Red meat and certain fish are the highest in creatine. And this whole thing that red meat is bad for us has got to stop, because humans basically ate nothing but red meat for about 2 million years. And there's research out of Israel showing that It is the most nutrient-dense food on the planet other than breast milk and liver. So egg yolks are in there as well. But if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life and wanted to be as healthy as humanly possible, red meat would be the food to choose. You are going to get all of your bases covered. There's almost not a single other food on the planet that can make you healthy and well without anything else. It's got it all. So creatine is sort of one of my pet peeves. My other pet peeve about creatine is that creatine is incredibly inexpensive. Like, you can buy a year's supply of creatine for dollars. I mean, it's like $30. And because it's become so popular, everyone's converting it into special powders and gummies and drinks and tinctures and yada, yada, yada. Now it's $300 a year or $400 a year instead of $30. And this bothers me because I hate when we're taken advantage of. I just hate it because we're just always taken advantage of. And so no more. I really don't want you guys wasting your money. Now, if you love a gummy, I mean, they're usually got sugar and other junk in them. I don't recommend gummies, period, kind of. But if you love a gummy and it's worth the $300 for you because you're just not going to eat red meat, great. If you're vegetarian, I absolutely recommend you take creatine and many of the other things that you're just not going to get from a vegetarian diet. Even with a lot of eggs and tofu and cottage cheese, there's just nutrients that you're missing. So creatine is one of them. So if you refuse to eat red meat or fish and at least a pound a day, you probably should be taking creatine. But I recommend that you just get a bag of creatine monohydrate and take 2 or 3 grams a day and mix it into whatever drink you're having, and don't spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Again, this is not medical advice. I'm not your practitioner. I'm just telling you what I would do and what I recommend to people, because I would rather you spend money on whole food. I would rather you spend money on high quality red meat, fatty fish, whole eggs, avocados, liver if you can consume it. That's super inexpensive. Put your money there and your health will flourish. Cut down on takeout food and things that are boxed, bagged, and barcoded. That's how one of my favorite scientists, Dr. Ben Bickman, who is a renowned insulin researcher, he always says, stay away from bags, boxes, and barcodes. And that's exactly right. Eat real whole food like your grandparents would. And you really don't need to be messing around with a lot of supplements. There are very few things that we can't get from food. Magnesium is one, which I recommend to every single woman, even children. Like, I have a 15-year-old who gets really bad cramps. She needs extra magnesium. And there's just more processes in the human body that rely on magnesium than I could possibly list. And women especially need it. And it's just not in our food anymore because of traditional agriculture and row cropping, where we're using the same plots of land to grow corn and wheat and peas and the same things over and over and over and over and mass produce them. We have stripped the soil of all of its nutrition, and so there's just not much left in it. So plants used to be much more nutrient dense, and now they're just not. They just don't have near the vitamins, minerals, and proteins in them that they used to. And magnesium is one of the things that is just really hard to get from food now. Vitamin D is also hard. Like, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and even if I go out in the sun every single day in the summer, and I let myself, I'm half Italian, if I let myself get super, super tan, my vitamin D blood levels plummet if I don't supplement. So I just supplement all the time, no matter what the season, no matter how tan I am, no matter how much sun I get. But that's going to vary from person to person. Some people probably absorb it well. I'm just not one of those people who does. So that's something to look out for. But those two are kind of the only thing that I'll recommend to every single person. And then case by case basis, if you're insulin resistant, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you have a sluggish thyroid, if your metabolism is slow, like there's so many different things that I can recommend. But until your nutrition is dialed and your exercise and your sleep and your stress are dialed, there's no real point in taking all of these extras to try and help, unless you're just suffering so much that you need help and until you can get your nutrition and exercise dialed. But what I don't want you to ever do is think that there's a pill or an injection or anything out there, anything that you can take that makes it not matter what you eat or how you exercise or how you sleep or how you manage stress. I don't care what you take. I don't care if you're on GLP-1s, if you're on bioidentical hormones, if you're on thyroid meds, if you're on every vitamin and mineral on the internet. You will never be optimally healthy if you don't dial your exercise, your nutrition, your sleep, and your stress management. Period. Every single one of us. And the other thing is, if you don't dial those things and then you start taking some of these exterior products, they might not do what they're even supposed to do because you're not working with them. So if you have any questions about anything specifically, I'd love to help. I'd love to answer your questions. If you want specific nutrition medical advice, I can't give it to you because I'm not your practitioner, but I'm happy to answer general questions anytime. So please think carefully about the supplements you're buying, how much money you're spending a month, and how you could be spending that money on real nutrient-dense whole food. Have a great day.